On this episode of Big Boys Don't Cry, we discuss the film Desperados. You don't have to have seen the film to enjoy the podcast, but if you do proceed and listen without having seen the film, just be aware that there may be plot spoilers. Enjoy. Oh, think twice. 'Cause it's another episode and we'll be talking shite.
That is beautiful.
I just came up with that like 2 minutes ago. I was going to do something on the Pokemon theme because you've been talking about how Pokemon's on Netflix, but I couldn't really come up with anything.
I fully appreciate it. And I appreciate the thought of doing something along the lines of the Pokemon theme.
It's the thought that counts, right?
It is. But yeah, Pokemon is on Netflix, the first series. So if you want,
I used to love it.
If you want
so
a little
much.
dose of nostalgia for a really shite animated show, then get on it. It's been great.
Is it not holding up well? Because I haven't watched it. I haven't got time to watch anything.
It's exactly as you remember it, where very little happens, but it's comforting, and there's Pokemon in it. So what more could you want from a show?
First episode, Pikachu's grumpy. Second episode, he's a little less grumpy. Third episode, they're best friends and they're crying.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then he catches some more Pokemon. And then
there's a rap.
And then there's a rap. And that's a rap.
I was going to make that joke.
I got there first.
But as I said before, the theme tune is on my playlist of songs that I play to my son, and my wife hates it. So obviously whenever it comes on, I turn it up and rock out.
Oh, it's
got some quite nice guitar on it. And it's an extended version of the theme tune as well, to like a 4-minute song with a guitar solo.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
It's perfectly written because the what functions as the intro to the TV show is the first intro, verse and chorus perfectly. And then it goes on from there and just repeats all the best bits and adds a guitar solo. Perfect.
Yeah. It is great. And then there is the Pokérap, and as I shared with you, and if you wouldn't mind putting this in the show notes, there is the updated version of the Pokérap, which
hell yeah,
which takes the 90s rap of the original and updates it and goes through various different genres to complete the 10 million new Pokemon that are included.
It's updated for SoundCloud rappers.
Exactly. It's the SoundCloud rap version of the Pokérap, and I'm here for it.
Check out my SoundCloud. I think my wife just thinks Pokemon's for nerds.
It is. It is for nerds.
A bit like how books are for nerds.
Books are for nerds.
It's like that.
Pokemon is less for nerds because Pokemon Go made you leave the house.
It means you have to walk to places.
Yeah, whereas books are for hiding under the stairs in shame because you're such a nerd that you've got to read a book.
Yeah, locked in the cupboard there.
Yeah, that's what Harry Potter was really about. It was about the magic of books.
Yeah, about being a nerd.
It's all about the metaphor of being a nerd reading books, but secretly.
Except he's the only person ever who got saved from being a nerd by a wizard coming to take him out of the cupboard under the stairs. The rest of us are still in there.
Well, that's what you think, but it's just his imagination from reading a book. He read a book called Harry Lotter and was like, oh, that's my name almost. And
Ray Liotta.
Ray Liotta and the Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd watch that if it was a movie. I wouldn't read it if it was a book, because as we've established, books are for nerds.
What about a book of the script of the movie, Ray Liotta and the Philosopher's Stone?
No, only if I had the movie at the same time and I was reading it and watching the movie at the same time.
You know, to check all his lines are correct.
Exactly, yeah. You're almost fact-checking at that point.
Yep. It's very important to fact-check Ray Liotta in a very fictional fantasy film.
You do. It's the most important thing. You know, fact-check the media? No. Fact-check our politicians? Definitely not. You need to fact-check Ray Liotta in a made-up fantasy movie where he goes to wizard school.
But let's remember, of course, that there are alternative facts.
There are. It might...
Especially when Ray Liotta's involved, because it might be him. It might be Stuart Lee. You know, who knows?
Stuart Lee Liotta.
That's my favourite kind of red wine.
I was thinking it might be Michael Madsen in it.
Oh, yeah.
Or Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. Who, as it's been pointed out to us on Twitter, looks like Marilyn Manson disguised as Nicolas Cage.
Definitely does. But there's no Nicolas Cage in the movie Desperados.
Sadly not. And it's annoying because it's the title of a film that sounds like the kind of film that Nicolas Cage would be in.
It really does, doesn't it? I mean, there is a movie called Desperado.
I was going to say, yeah, I enjoyed watching the 1995 film Desperado, the sequel to the 1993 film El Mariachi.
Have you seen Desperado?
Yes, many, many years ago when we were too young to be watching 18 films, so it was cool that we were watching a film that was an 18.
I adore Desperado.
But I don't really remember the details.
I remember there's lots of Antonio Banderas being amazing and lots of shooting.
I think I watched it at a friend's house, and you know when like you go to your friend's house. Oh, actually, no. Well, knowing what I know about your childhood, you were this friend, but I wasn't. It's like when you go to your friend's house and they've got 18 films, and they're like sort of vaguely allowed to watch them, or their parents are kind of turning a blind eye, whereas my parents weren't. So this was one of those films for me. I was like 14 around a friend's house. We're going to watch Desperado, and Antonio Banderas is going to shoot up some bad guys.
I mean, my parents were definitely not just turning a blind eye. They were fine with me watching it.
They were like,
although I don't...
Come on, watch this crucifixion.
I don't think that I ever watched them with friends. I think they did put a limit on, well, I can fuck up my own child, but I can't fuck up someone else's child by showing them RoboCop at age 7. But I have a lot more memory of Once Upon a Time in Mexico, which came out a fair few years later, 2003, which is another stonker. There's some great movies. These Desperado and Once Upon a Time in Mexico are very, very good. But
I haven't seen that one.
It is excellent. It also has mariachis with guns, and I think it's a perfect combination. Chocolate and peanut butter, get out. Mariachi and gun. That's where we're at now.
I realized as well on my son's playlist of fun songs, La Cucaracha is on there, which is like a Mexican folk song, and we realized that one of the lines is about the cockroach not having weed to smoke.
That is beautiful.
So now I actually sing the words at him every time.
Oh, that's good. You've got to get him aware of drugs at a very early age, because if he's not aware, then he's going to fall into the trap of smoking a spliff, smoking a jazz cigarette. And then before you know it, it's going to be the heroin, and it's going to be the amphetamine, and it's going to be whatever terrible cyber drug is around when he's an adult. Cyber crack.
Cyber crack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brass Eye never warned us about that one, did they?
You hook it up to your Elon Musk created ear device, and then you get high whilst listening to podcasts. That's going to be the future of drug usage. Did you hear about Elon Musk's ear device this week?
No, I thought you just made that up.
No, so he basically said that the future is going to be like ear implants, so you don't have to wear headphones. And my immediate thought is, that's a great idea, because I'm really looking forward to having an endless loud beeping in my ears when something goes wrong with the hardware.
Or having to have someone cut you open when it goes wrong.
Yeah,
you need a new one.
Sounds brilliant. Thanks, Elon. Sounds really good. You're trying to get us into a shit dystopian sci-fi future at an
That's
incredibly
been his thing
good
forever.
rate. Yeah, like electric cars, great. Less so horrifying cybernetic implants where you're basically your body is owned by a tech corporation.
Yeah, and you just know that his baby that's called like X Alpha Boogie Woogie 2Z 769 is going to be president someday.
President of my butt. Get out. That child. I have no time for that child.
Me neither.
Eric's going to beat him up. They're going to go to... They're going to be...
They're going to face off.
They're going to be...
on top of a cliff.
At uni together. And then Eric's going to be like, you know what, mate? You know what? Indecipherable name. You're a proper dick, you are. And then he's going to push him down a well. And
the only person whose name you can't pronounce who was ever allowed to have that in history was Prince, the artist formerly known as Prince. Okay, you're like, what? You think you're as good as the love symbol?
Prince.
You ain't even half of that.
Famous Daily Mail lover Prince.
Well, it was actually the Mail on Sunday.
The Mail on Sunday. Famous Mail on Sunday lover Prince. He's the only one who's allowed to have an indecipherable name. But there is no Prince or Elon Musk in Desperados. But instead we got a very generic romantic comedy, I think is a polite way to put it. You know what's going to happen very, very quickly, and it's
by the numbers. I mean, and those numbers might be in Spanish because some of the film is in Mexico, but nonetheless, it is by the numbers.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6.
The offspring taught us so much over the years. But yeah, so it's very by the numbers. You know, it's I've met a guy. I'm pretending to be this cool, aloof woman that I'm not, to make sure that I keep this relationship because I'm not good with relationships.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's gone missing. He's ghosted me after we've had sex. I'm going to get drunk and send a nasty email to him. He was in an accident. Let's go get that email back. So it's almost exactly the same plot as the movie Road Trip.
I honestly can't remember the plot of Road Trip.
So Road Trip is...
as we discussed on the last episode and the previous episodes, I can remember every detail of the film Euro Trip, but that's for another episode.
So in that one, their plan, it's about this couple when they go off to different universities, and they're going to be faithful to one another and have it long distance. And then they made the guy has slept with someone else, and he made a sex tape, but then accidentally sent the sex tape to his girlfriend instead of a tape of him going, "I love you, baby. You're great, and I love you." But then hijinks.
Oh God, I'm looking at this now. Tom Green. What the fuck happened to Tom Green?
Tom Green. He did things.
So wait, if this was 2000, he'd have had to mail the tape to her. So they're chasing a tape that's been mailed.
So they're chasing a tape that's been mailed. And they go across country and hijinks ensue. And it's one of those stupid teen bro comedies where they're all like,
oh wait, Sean William Scott's in it.
Exactly. That's how you know.
Oh, right.
It's got the Sean William Scott stamp of approval.
Yep.
Who
is good when there's hockey involved. Middling elsewhere.
I have all the time in the world for him. I'm a big fan.
I bet he just seems like he'll be so much fun. He's the kind of guy you want to hang out with.
Yeah, Country Mac.
Country Mac, exactly. You want him to come to your party and then ride a motorcycle off a cliff at the end of it and die.
Exactly. So it turns out that I'm having a little look at what happened to Tom Green. Sorry, we will get on to speaking about Desperados at some point. He was in Celebrity Big Brother 2 in the US in 2019. But he was evicted during a live.
How were they only on
eviction.
2 of Celebrity Big Brother last year?
Well, maybe they've rehashed it over time, or maybe they've just been so popular with just having normal people on it that they've only just needed to.
Maybe. I mean, Americans are just so glamorous, aren't they? They don't even need celebs.
Exactly.
Every one of them is a hip cat.
Do you remember the movie Freddy Got Fingered?
I never saw it. I remember seeing posters for it and stuff and thinking that looks terrible.
It was...
Even though I'm at the age where it should be hilarious to have the word fingered in a title of a film.
It is very bad, but it's interesting because it's almost deliberately bad. It's like an anti-comedy in a way. And I think part of that is deliberate, that basically Tom Green was given a load of money to make a movie. And he was like, "You guys are fucking idiots. I'm going to make an absolute piece of trash." And then he did.
And there's something admirable about that, isn't there?
I think there is. There's some very iconic meme-worthy scenes.
Oh, good. It's got Shaquille O'Neal as himself in it. Famous flat earther Shaquille O'Neal.
That's what you want, doesn't it? That's what you want. So.
Oh my God, Anthony Michael Hall is in it?
Apparently so.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, so Tom Green, he's still around doing something from the looks of it. Oh my God.
He's Canadian?
What, Tom Green? Yes. Yeah.
I did not know that.
I'm just having a look at the other contestants in Celebrity Big Brother 2. There's a lot of names that I don't necessarily recognize. There's Lindsay Lohan's mother was in it. It had a American hurdler and bobsledder. Had an NFL running back.
Oh, big brother, you have a bobsleigh team.
A WWE wrestler, actors, swimmers. So it seems as though it's a higher level of celebrity than the British one, which was basically just random people who once were in a magazine or something like that.
on game shows, maybe.
But it turns out
and George Galloway, obviously,
that there was a mystery guest who appeared very briefly in the house was Anthony Scaramucci. Do you remember the Mooch?
Yeah, it's Trump's communications director for all of 14 days.
Yeah, it was the 2-week communications director.
Minnie the Moocher.
The Mooch. So the Mooch turned up in it, which I suppose is akin to Ed Balls turning up in the dance show, isn't it?
Yeah, except he was in it for like 10 episodes and he killed it.
Yeah, he was great.
I still have visions of him doing Gangnam Style sometimes.
Ed Balls.
It comes to me late at night.
Incredible. Yeah. There's a phrase that,
Can I just say something?
Go for it.
Ed Balls.
Ed Balls. There's a phrase that I always think of in my head when talking about Ed Balls, in that I studied politics at college, and one day we were there in class, and our politics teacher, who was great, he was really good, he, in the middle of something, just turned around and wrote on the wall, on the board, balls in massive letters, which was funny enough. And then he pointed at it and just went, right, so why is Ed Balls cheesed off? And now whenever I hear anything about Ed Balls, I just think, Ed Balls is cheesed off, isn't he?
That's very good.
So yeah, Ed Balls cheesed off. But
that sounds like a Freddy Got Fingered era film, doesn't it? Ed Balls is cheesed off.
Ed Balls is. Yeah, Ed Balls is in it, and then it's Ed Balls is, and then ellipses afterwards, and then cheesed off is the name of the movie.
Oh yeah, like bra stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So
Ed Balls on his quest to become a very good trumpet player.
Yeah, Ed Balls is off to become a cheesemonger.
Yep.
That's what he's doing. But Ed Balls is not in Desperados, but instead it's a decent enough cast, which is good. So Nasim Pedrad is someone who's very, very funny. Has been in some really good stuff over the years. She's in a show I love called Scream Queens, which is very, very good. Does one of the voices in Despicable Me 2, which is a great movie. # no haters here for the Minions.
See, I am okay with the Despicable Me franchise, but I do find the Minions irritating. I'm all about Gru. Gru's my guy.
I love the Despicable Me films. I think they're very, very fun. And I'm here for them. I don't hate the Minions. I feel like I should, because I am an adult man. But there's something.
And you hate a lot of things.
And I hate a lot of things, but
especially joy and happiness.
Yeah,
fun.
I do hate joy and happiness, but those cute little minions.
But
got time for them running around going banana and things like that. All
That's what you like.
I do love a banana. But yeah, and then she's in New Girl as well. And
New Girl was one of those shows where it was on TV, and like I never watched a whole episode, but sometimes you'd watch half of one because it was on, and you're like, oh yeah, this is so additional. Is this good? I don't know if it's good. And then Prince was in it as himself, and they had a song together that was really nice. Yeah. So I watched that clip on YouTube over and over. Obviously, it's fine. It's nothing special, but it's one of those nice, comforting sitcoms, really. Which does the job. And then Desperados also has Lamorne Morris in it, who was also in New Girl, so it's kind of a little reunion for them. Nice. But yeah, so she's very funny, and I think her energy kind of carries this film. 100%. I don't think it. I knew her from the live action Aladdin. So yeah, she plays the character that's not in the cartoon version, who is like Princess Jasmine's handmaiden or whatever, who ends up, spoiler alert, she ends up getting married to the genie at the end of the film.
Oh, cool. I'd marry the genie.
Yeah, of course. Of course you would. He's a genie.
Soz Aladdin, but...
He's not just a genie. He's Will Smith and a genie.
Soz William Genie Smith. Soz Aladdin, sorry. I've got
William G. Smith.
Willie G style. But yeah.
Yeah, the G and G style stands for genie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's getting genie with it. I've never made that joke before.
Welcome to Agrabah. Bienvenido a Agrabah. Yeah,
So, and in that, she was very good. So that's where I'd seen her before.
Ah, cool.
And as soon as she appeared in this, I was like, oh, it's her off of Aladdin. Okay, I'm interested.
Yeah, and I think she's got a real charisma, and she's, like I said, she's got a real energy to her performance, which carries through a lot of her work. And she's a very engaging lead in this movie. That I think if it was a lesser actor, I don't think it would have been anywhere near as fun to watch. And I'm not saying that this movie is good. I'm not going to go that far.
No,
but.
It's adequate.
Yeah, but you care about.
This is a supermarket pizza, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. This is a supermarket pizza.
It's a pizza, but ultimately it's not as good as something you would make or order from somewhere else or eat in a restaurant.
Yeah, you're not going to...
Even if you pay the extra couple of quid for the Tesco finest buffalo mozzarella or whatever, it's still ultimately...
Yeah, you're not going to be like, oh, this is just as good as the pizza I had in Naples, that kind of thing. It's a supermarket pizza. It ain't
fine.
That. But she kind of makes it reach that level, I think, because you genuinely care about her as a lead, and it's a very similar kind of energy to Bridesmaids, and I think this feels a little bit like a tamer version of Bridesmaids.
You think it's tame because no one shits in the street in it?
No, the only thing that happens is there's a bit of vom in someone's face.
There is some puke in it, and oddly I found that moment really disgusting. I think it was the colour of the puke. It was like a sort of grey gruel-y colour.
It did.
I was really grossed out by that. And there's not much stuff in films that I am usually grossed out by, but for some reason that made me heave.
It did look like very authentic vomit, didn't it?
Yeah.
Kudos. The bit that made me heave was the terrifying CGI dolphin. Which...
with a massive cock.
Yeah.
So you can show like a dolphin's cock on screen, that's fine. It's not even an 18, but you can't show any bit of man's penis.
No, not even a little bit of shaft. Which was
the problem with... Although with 365 days, was there a bit of
shaft?
I
think there was a bit of shaft.
I think you thought there was a bit of shaft. I don't remember seeing any shaft.
I think there was a tiny bit of shaft. I don't think... You can't get away with showing the full erect penis in a movie. But if you're a dolphin...
A bit of flaccid shaft.
Yeah, if you're a dolphin, then no problem. That
it's
CGI
fine, it's
dolphin
just biological.
Awful. Absolutely awful bit of CGI there. It's an odd scene, that one.
Yeah, why couldn't they have got a real dolphin to jizz in her face?
Yeah, that's what the audience wants, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're
Netflix, you big fakers.
We're the bridesmaid generation. We want as much gross out humour as possible in our movies about romance.
Yeah,
because
you know that Maya Rudolph was really shitting in that dress in the middle of the street. We all know it really happened.
I mean, she is a method actor. I do feel as though she would have actually shat in the street. If it was,
if she was truly committed.
If it was Johnny Depp in Bridesmaids, then he would be shitting in the street. Perhaps not intentionally. Perhaps he just loses himself in the role so much that he just feels, you know what, I'm going to go shit in this street wearing this wedding dress.
Who's going to stop me?
Who's going to stop me? I'm Captain Jack Sparrow and I'm getting married.
Now bring me that horizon.
bring me that horizon and bring me puppies to give to every guest of my wedding shower.
Did he actually do that?
No, but in Bridesmaids, at the big old party, the pre-wedding party, they get given puppies. The puppy, don't they?
Bridesmaids was like episode 4 for us, wasn't it?
It really was.
I might actually go back and listen to that.
It was a long time ago. I've watched it since then.
Have you?
Yeah, I'm a fan of Bridesmaids, as you know. I like it. I like a bit of shitting.
We had a good chat about it. I think it's good. Ultimately, I just keep going back to
street. But yeah, there's no shitting in the street here. There is a funny recurring joke about paedophilia.
See, I didn't find that funny.
Did you not?
No, it was a little bit, hey, guess what? A 13-year-old boy, I bet he's horny.
No, but I thought that it was more... I didn't think that it was horn-related. I think it was more love. He genuinely loves her. And I like how there was these constant... I like how there was these constant callbacks where she just kept ending up in these awkward situations. And so, yeah, I really liked it. I didn't think it was sexually driven. I think the young boy, what was his name? Nolan. I think it was very, because, he looks away when he hands her
he was very excited by the dildo though.
Well, he didn't know what it was though.
Oh yeah, that's true. And you're like, he's definitely the age where he would know that.
Yeah, he's like a 12-year-old child. He knows what a vibrator is.
His angry mum was good though.
Yes. So I really enjoyed that continual joke. And then when the mum gets vommed on, what I was hoping for was for them to turn up again. So maybe you've got that very sad scene on the plane at the end where she lets him read the email and he says, I don't want to go sit somewhere else, etc. Blah. Says,
you're a weird, crazy person.
I'm a mad mayonnaise man with no defined characteristics to my person.
I'm a wet milk sports agent.
Yeah, I'm the male equivalent of wet milk. Fight milk.
No one's just a sports agent. Milk. Just like he's like, yeah, I'm a sports agent. What sports? You can't be an agent for all sports.
I don't know. Are there agents for all sports?
No, you can't represent every sport. Surely you'd be like, I'm a baseball agent or I'm a hockey agent or whatever, and you'd like talk about your work. But I guess he was supposed to be like a bland wet milk guy. They didn't want to make him too interesting.
It might be that he's one of like the lower level ones who works for an agency as opposed to looking after an individual.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because you've got specific agents who look after lots and lots of clients. But then maybe.
But he does play bubble soccer, which is that a thing? Did they make that up for this film? Is that real?
I can't believe that they made it up for this film because there's so many outfits for it for just a 5-second scene.
That's the kind of thing I'd do if I was making a film. Just make up a sport for a 30-second scene.
Exactly.
And now we're going to play some woofball.
Some woofball.
His team of 5 humans and 5 dogs.
How do you score a goal in woofball then?
Well, the goal is there are 2 kennels on either end of the pitch, right? 5 dogs. And the ball is like a ball of bones. So the humans have to try and like bat the opposing team's dogs away while their dogs on their team chase the ball into the kennel. And then they get to eat the bones.
That sounds incredibly
complicated. It'd be absolutely chaotic.
Yes. I would have Death Ball where you have to it's just gladiator combat apart from with the ball in the middle.
You will go on my first whistle.
Exactly.
We can have that guy back.
We'll have Wolf back as well. Wolf can be involved. But what were we talking about before we got onto this? Oh yeah,
he's a sports agent. The bland mayonnaise man. He's a sports agent. Yeah, was his name Chad or Derek or something?
Jared, isn't it?
Oh, Jared. Yeah.
I would have loved it if at that point she'd sort of walked through the curtain and she was looking for a new seat to sit in, and then there's a seat next to the mother and son. I think that would have been a nice little callback.
As the only seat,
and it would have broken up that sad scene, because that sad scene was just like, oh yep, here's the sad bit, and then eventually it's going to be over, isn't it? And I think maybe if they'd added something in that broke that up a bit, it would have been a bit unexpected. And I suppose that's the big problem with this movie, isn't it? Is that there's nothing really unexpected in it.
You know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, everything that happens you saw coming about 15 minutes earlier.
Like, hey, she's in a towel. I wonder if she's going to end up naked.
Oh, spoiler alert, she gets
Not
naked.
that they're going to show it, obviously.
No, of course not.
You can show a dolphin's penis, but not that.
You are really angry about the dolphin's penis.
Yeah, it was really disgusting and bad CGI.
I mean, my problem is the bad CGI.
Yeah.
At the very least, in a Netflix original, I want to see a legitimate, real dolphin penis.
Yeah.
You know, no cheating here. That's what.
What's interesting about that as well is dolphins have a prehensile penis. Did you know this?
Yes, I did. I don't know why.
Like they can wrap around things.
It's like a duck, isn't it? Ducks have the same thing.
Yeah. Or it's like a snake. Not a snake's penis. I mean, it's actually like a snake. Like it could wrap itself around your leg.
Yes. Yeah. It's terrifying. Absolutely. Nature is a disgusting and terrifying thing.
Nature is horrible. If there's one thing we've learned from films, it's that nature is horrendous and evil, and you should never go outside. Unless it's to play Pokemon Go.
That's the only reason, because then it's man-made. Man-made nature. We made them, and they're even when they're terrifying, they're still cute.
Yeah. And they should be grateful that we made them.
Yes, exactly.
It's the problem with nature that we didn't make. It's ungrateful.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Not even happy to be there.
It doesn't understand our dominion over it.
Yeah. Very bad.
Exactly. Did you see the news about microbes from 100 million years ago being brought back to life?
No, but that could only result in some kind of evil curse.
I have watched enough horror movies to know that the scientists who did that and pulled these microbes out of the ice and brought them back to life, they are all already dead or already infected with some kind of terrifying creature.
Yeah.
They already.
Meanwhile, bubonic plague is coming back in South America as well.
Yeah, exactly.
We're already like a third of the way into this film.
I'm fully expecting there to be like giant lampreys coming out of the ocean at any given moment. We're nearly there.
Yeah.
Just all of the terrifying apocalypses all coming at the same time.
Yeah, Godzilla's going to come to Surrey. You better believe it.
It's like turning up in Croydon.
Yeah.
Going to IKEA.
Yeah. He's jumped on top of that building that's shaped like a 50p and he's fucking livid.
Exactly. But yeah, there's no giant lampreys in Desperados. There's just a dolphin. And a few half-hearted attempts to try and get to this guy's computer. It never really feels that exciting, I suppose. You know, in terms of the plot points, there's nothing really here that stands out as a particularly interesting scene. You've got the thing where she accidentally gets naked, but there's nothing really there that really stands out as this popping scene. Like, you know, when you think of Bridesmaids as the most direct comparison to this movie, you've got the shitting in the street, you've got the party at the end, you've got the Vegas flight, everything like that is very, very memorable. Whereas here,
and there's all that stuff in Bridesmaids about the friendship as well. So the friendship element of this film is very, very strong, and that's where it decides to go with the conclusion to be like, you're my best friends and I love you and I'm a dick and I'm sorry. Whereas in the things that kind of drove them there were more obvious than they were in Bridesmaids. Or in Bridesmaids it was obvious, but there's that brilliant scene, which is a real turning point in the movie, where it's like, I think it's the baby shower, and Kristen Wiig just like loses her shit and starts yelling at everyone and is like, fuck you, you're this, you're that. And you're like, yes, come on, say what you feel. It's like someone actually saying what they feel in this kind of film, and no one in Desperados did that.
Yeah, that's exactly right, isn't it? Is that they eventually lose their patience with her and walk away from it, but you never really have that cathartic moment where they have that kind of bust up and where you think, yes, tell it like it is. And I suppose part of that is the way that the demanding one in this situation is our lead character. But I feel as though they still could have added in that scene with the two friends, you know, played by Anna Camp and Sarah Burns. You know, they're very engaging. They have their own character traits as opposed to just being friend one and friend two, and they have their own interests in the story. And I did like the bit where they went to go and see Heather Graham in the desert. That was fun, and it added a conclusion and a little bit of depth to their characters that was very much needed. But
so it wasn't just that she wants to get pregnant or she wants to leave her husband, but they actually did sort of fill in the gaps around that to make those characters less one-dimensional.
Yes, yeah, which was nice, and it was really appreciated that they did that. But I still feel as though they should have had that cathartic moment where they said, "You're being completely unrealistic unreasonable over a guy that doesn't even know the real you and won't want to know the real you because the real you is a fuck up and this guy is a boring mayonnaise man. And I think if they had that scene in there, it would have maybe had more of an emotional punch and it maybe would have had more memorable scenes. But even so, I think the engaging nature of that trio of lead friends still kind of propels the movie along sufficiently for it to be enjoyable, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
And we do have romance in this movie. You've got Sean. Sean is funny.
We like Sean.
We like him.
Sean's a good guy. He's an architect. He makes buildings happen.
He does.
And his wife is dead.
Yeah, he has a dead wife.
It's like we get to that point in the film where it's like, how can we, what reason can we give for him being like a standoffish guy? Because you can't get away these days with him just being a guy. You know, that was how it used to be in the films in the mid 2000s, maybe even up to like early last decade. You know, a guy was just being a guy. You know, he's a guy. He can't commit to you because he's a guy, or he's unavailable because he's a guy, and he's a guy. But now it's like you can't get away with that. So like he has to have a dead wife instead.
Yeah, so he's got a dead wife, which is obvious, unfortunately. What's the trope in comics? The woman in the refrigerator.
Woman in the refrigerator. Yeah.
It's the dead wife in a romantic movie trope, or the dead husband in a romantic movie trope. And
when you need to cover the serious bits of the plot, when like you've written all the dolphin dick jokes, and you're like, right, that we need to actually take this film somewhere. How do I get there?
Yeah. How do we explain away why this guy isn't seeing somebody and why he's been so standoffish about romance? And it couldn't be, oh, I had a bad breakup, or oh, my wife cheated on me, or something like that. It has to be, she's dead.
Yeah.
There has to be that finite closure of this character we never meet. They've got to be dead.
Yeah. Because otherwise they could show up. They might just appear in one scene.
They could show up in a scene and be
walk into the bar, there she is.
I'm really sorry, ex-husband, but I sent you an email where I said you had a pencil penis.
Yeah, and I was glad that your dad was dead, yes, or whatever.
I did enjoy that. I did think the sort of montage scene where they're writing the email was quite funny. And the thin dick jokes were excellent. Particularly when later on, when he's reading over it, you just see the like pencil dick bit and the dead dad bit, and he's just like, oh, that's just so mean.
Yeah.
But I kind of, one thing that I was expecting was that I thought they were going to put a twist in about our boy Jared, where he was going to turn out to be a dickhead of some description.
He was going to be ketchup instead of mayonnaise.
He was going to be ketchup he was going to be barbecue sauce. Yeah,
donkey sauce.
And so maybe he's actually there with a girlfriend or something like that. And I guess I'm happy.
Oh, he's got an alive wife.
He's got his wife is the woman who Wesley keeps trying to have sex with the child of, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm kind of happy that they didn't add something like that in, because it makes it a little bit more realistic in this movie about dolphin erections.
That's what they should have called it. Dolphin erections.
Dolphin erection Desperado, I think it should have been. But yeah, so it does make it a bit more realistic that he is just a guy and then he's like, oh, I can't handle this weirdness. Bye-bye. But at the same time, there was something deep inside me that was thinking, no, give us something to make him a jeben, because he's not a very likable character. Give us something else to make him more of an arsehole than he is, so we can be like, yeah, fuck you, you deserve that email. Because as it stands, he's a boring loser.
You just want him to deserve it.
Yeah, as it stands, he's a boring loser. He's like, oh, I like playing bubble football, and we should eat salads instead of delicious donut hot dogs. And all that scene was horrible.
That was like, nobody actually does that if your food has already come, right?
And that's the moment where you're like, yeah, this guy deserves whatever's coming to him. Like, yeah, he deserves it. Because that's frustrating for the wait staff. It's frustrating for the chef. Frustrating for the person who has ordered the delicious donut hot dog. And
I would eat the hell out of that.
Because let's be honest here, salads are the books of the food world. Salads are for nerds.
Yep.
Get out of here with that salad.
They belong in the cupboard under the stairs.
The only place that salad should be is inside a burger or inside some kind of delicious, unhealthy food.
Yeah, just bury it in there somewhere.
Yeah,
it'll get into my body somehow.
Give me a bit of rocket. Give me a bit of rocket in my delicious burger, something like that.
But I felt like they weirdly glossed over her kind of changing to be with him. It was like clearly that's the beginning of the movie and that's just part of the setup. But I actually would have liked a little bit more detail on why her character felt she had to do that, or how she changed as a person and why she was so committed to that. And all of that stuff got explored a bit later down the line, but I actually wouldn't have minded a bit more setup there at the beginning.
Yeah, I would have appreciated that as well. It's a movie that seems to go very quickly. And I think having a little bit more of that setup at the beginning where they sort of explain what's going on, I think that would have gone down better. It seems as though they get...
And it's not too long, which is a good thing about this film, is it's kind of the length that it needs to be. But, that might have been a bit helpful.
Yeah, I think, they get
You could have skipped one of the, hijinks scenes in Mexico for that.
Yeah, they got to Mexico very, very quickly. And
they didn't even show them on the plane or anything.
Yeah,
it was the next scene they're in Mexico. So all right,
and I'm not sure whether maybe they could have had a little bit more of a build up before that. But it's one of those things, isn't it? And I think you're right. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's under 2 hours long. Appreciated. Thank you. In an era where every movie seems to be at least 2.5 hours long. I'm glad to have something that's short. But yeah, it could have done with, maybe could have done with a little bit more context at the beginning.
Yeah, just a little.
But it's fine.
Although we do get the thing of her wanting to be a guidance counsellor and that being her true calling in life.
Yeah, which
she's not qualified for. And then at the end she gets the job even though she's not qualified for it.
But she's doing a good job, and we see at the end that she's doing a good job as a guidance counsellor.
Yeah.
Which is good.
She's killing it.
She's being an excellent guidance counsellor. And she gets her man. She gets Sean at the end, and and interrupts that poor other woman's blind date.
And at first he says no, and then he comes outside and says yes, which again was also like, come on, you knew that was going to happen.
It was very obviously going to happen.
Just be obvious. Just be straight with each other at that point, because it doesn't really serve the plot much. There's no comedy to be found in it. At that point, you're like, yep, just get together. Come on, do it.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, and then they get together, and then that's the end. And it's like, oh, what a pleasant movie that I'm going to forget about in about 5 minutes.
Yeah. Wouldn't watch again.
No, I don't think I would either. It's fine. It's a very relaxed rom-com, and if you're in the mood for a nice relaxed rom-com where you know what's going to happen, you're sitting down with your cup of tea, got a biscuit, and you're like, oh, you know what? I want to just watch something that'll make me happy with some nice characters, and maybe there's a dolphin, and the dolphin gets to get its rocks on. If you're after that, this is the movie for you.
Yeah, maybe one of the leads is going to kiss Heather Graham in the yoga palace.
I do love Heather Graham. She's brilliant, and that is the one kind of unexpected bit of this movie, isn't it? Is they do go on that little, soul searching trip, the two friends, and that's nice. I think that's the one thing that really makes this movie stand out, is that they do pay attention to their secondary characters in that way.
Yeah, for sure. And I felt like it got a bit better as it went on as well. Towards the end of the film, I found myself feeling a little bit more invested in it than I was at the beginning.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it's got that quality to it, doesn't it? Where as you get to understand the characters more, you kind of grow to enjoy the movie more as well, which is always a good sign.
And she did have that chemistry with Sean as well. And when they end up at the birthday party, and there's of course a sexy fun dance scene that shows there's a neat way of showing how two people bond as friends. And maybe they could be something else, but I appreciated that.
Yes, yeah, that was very good. That was very good as well.
Yeah. Of course, they couldn't dance to the mariachi band. They had to play a sexy song instead.
Yeah, because that's what you dance to, don't you? You dance to them.
I was hoping they'd get down to La Cucaracha, but you can't have everything.
If only. Maybe that's in the director's cut.
Yeah.
You never know.
They filmed it, but it was too difficult because it said the word marijuana in it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, can't do that in this movie. Yeah. So speaking of directors, this was directed by LP, who has directed the
Did you just fart?
I did not.
Is that noise again? The ghost fart.
It might
I heard it again.
It might be. We're unveiling a little bit of how we operate here, but I record these podcasts lying down in bed, which is part of the reason why I sound so relaxed and have such a lovely silken voice. But it might
so
be
relaxed that it just like slips out sometimes.
No, but it might be that I've got some pillows resting up against the head of the bed, and maybe it's when I move them that they slide against it and it creates a fart sound.
Okay. Whereas I'm here sitting in my conservatory at a table like a sucker. I should be doing this in bed.
You should be. It's perfect. It's the perfect way to podcast. Wouldn't do it any other
way. Sorry, go on. This film is directed by
LP. Is
the guy off of Run the Jewels?
No, unfortunately not. Who has directed some bits and bobs. They've directed the Escape Room episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Okay.
A TV series called Mr. Mom, which I guess is a remake of the show starring what was it? Who was in it? Who was in the original one in the 80s?
John Candy?
No, it was
1983 film.
Yeah, it was Batman, wasn't it? It was Michael Keaton.
Oh yes,
was in it. I guess it's maybe a remake of that. And has done a fair few sort of television shows, things like that. And it's a pretty well directed thing. I think it's got some nice sweeping shots. Apart from the terrifying dolphin, I think it's pretty well done. Yeah,
it looks nice. It's nice to look at.
Yes, and
nothing wrong there.
And it keeps up the pace and it keeps it ticking over nicely. So it's a fine film. Film.
It's an adequate Netflix film.
Yeah, exactly.
Competent.
Yeah, a competent, solid little rom-com. So is there anything else you'd like to share about this movie before we get going?
No, I think that's it. I wrote down the big man has a dog on his t-shirt, and I can't remember what that referred to.
So there's the guy who's I'm a reserve firefighter at the beginning, and he's he's got a dog on his t-shirt.
But she goes off with Jared instead because the other guy, because he's a large man. No one would ever go out with a large man. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly.
This is everyone's favourite segment of the podcast, by the way, where I read you the notes that I made and expect you to decipher them.
I enjoy it. I enjoy it.
Yeah. But all the men in this film look like baseball players, which is true.
It's true. Particularly the large man.
Yeah. Yeah, he could be like a designated hitter. He'd be great.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
I just put sports agent in capital letters. No, that's it. That's all I got.
No, I choose to believe that he works for one of those agencies. So maybe he represents various small.
Works for Boris Corp.
He represents various small sportsmen.
Yeah, I mean Elon Musk's sports agency, SportsX.
I mean that literally. I mean very, very short sports people.
Oh, you mean like jockeys?
Yes, exactly. He represents jockeys. That's his thing. Right, so little bit of
all of those jockeys in LA.
Yeah, it's a big scene for the LA jockey circuit. So little bit of trivia for you. There's not much, this is a new movie. But apparently it's been around. So it's been on the shelf since 2009. And it was originally intended for Isla Fisher.
Okay, I could see that.
So it's been around a bit. I do like Isla Fisher.
Yeah. She's cool.
Yeah, so it's been about.
And she's married to Sacha Baron Cohen. Can you imagine how exhausting that would be? I mean, he's brilliant, but can you imagine how exhausting that would be?
every day he comes down for breakfast. She comes down for breakfast, and he's already up and he's wearing a different costume. And it's like, Sasha, what are you doing today? Sasha? I know no Sasha. I'm Fabrizio. The next day, I'm Gunther.
Who have I got today?
I love it. I'd be married to.
Did you see the thing he did where he pretended to be like a racist country singer?
Oh my god,
rally?
It was so good. It was so
That was
good.
Brilliant.
Nothing but respect for our king Ali G.
Yeah.
Right. So, how are we going to rank Desperados?
Let's see. How many dolphins need to get their rocks off in the sea on your boat?
So I'm gonna go for a solid 12 dolphins.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm gonna go one less and go 11. It's just above a Bon Jovi, isn't it?
It's higher than a Bon Jovi, but not much higher.
No. It's a better Bon Jovi song. It's You Give Love a Bad Name.
Dead or Alive.
Yeah. As you know, You Give Love a Bad Name is higher than that, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's like a 15.
Yeah. Shot to the heart.
Yeah.
That's
the thinking person's living on a prayer, isn't it?
Exactly. It's a superior Bon Jovi song. Come
and
at
even
me.
better than the original is the cover by Atreyu.
I do not know this cover.
Oh, it's one of the classics of the metalcore era.
I do know Atreyu.
We'll talk about that on our other show.
I do know Atreyu, but I don't know.
Yeah, they did a very good cover of it around the time of their first album.
Okay, I will have to give that a listen.
Yeah.
Right, so what have we got next on this podcast?
Well, I've given this a lot of thought. And in a lot of our episodes recently, we've been talking about live action Disney a lot and all the remakes and stuff. So I think it's about time we actually watch one of those. So we're going to watch Lady and the Tramp 2019.
I'm sorry. But you said we're going to watch a live action Disney movie. You're going to watch one of the ones which is a fucking CGI film.
Yeah, but that's what they all are. It's not really live action, is it? It's the wrong word. I know it's the wrong term. You can pick me up on using the wrong term. It's photorealistic animation.
Fucking
you know what I mean?
Bullshit terror dogs from the Death Dimension is what it is. I've not watched it.
That was my favorite 80s sci-fi film. Bullshit terror dogs from the what dimension?
From the Death Dimension.
From the Death Dimension.
Yeah.
That is a film I would watch. That was like, yeah, that's like a Richard Bachman discarded script.
Okay, I've not seen it yet. I will watch it.
Me neither.
And we can discuss how they managed to get such brilliant people to be in this fucking piece of shit.
Did they? I haven't even seen the trailers or anything. I just know that it's there and it's probably awful.
Let's do it. I remember enjoying...
Fuck, it was written by Andrew Bujalski?
It was...
The Mumblecore guy?
It was brought into this world by Dark Sacraments, is what it was.
I really hope it's like a proper Mumblecore bizarre
It's just
thing.
this black and white language.
Yeah. Dogs just shuffling around. Hey, how's it going, man? Yeah. Want to go get some spaghetti? Yeah, I guess.
No, man,
whatever.
I can't have meat. Oh,
No, I can't have it. The film is really about the pain of being Italian.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Okay. Well, I'm going to watch this movie. It's a film.
Yes, you are.
Oh dear.
All right, I'm excited for it.
I'm not.
Disney Plus is definitely paying for itself. Good times. All right. Well, thanks a lot for listening. We really appreciate it, and we hope you enjoyed Desperados. If you didn't watch it, why not give it a whirl? Sit down with your cup of tea and while away the time, because you want light-hearted fluff during these times, which continue to be strange and bizarre times for everyone. 2020, worst year. So this kind of stuff exists to help you get through it, as do we. And if we are helping you get through it and you like what we do, you can support us by giving us money. There's a link in our show notes to our Acast supporter page. You can just give us anything you like, really. So 1p or £1 million, it's up to you.
Yeah, just whatever you feel we're worth. It might just be a telling off.
Yeah. I don't know how you do that financially. 10p.
We'll find a way.
When a Freddo costs 12p.
Yeah, exactly. Can't even buy a Freddo. That's the telling off amount of money, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, it's no like subscriptions or any of that. It's just like, if you feel like bunging us a couple of quid, why not?
Yes.
Otherwise, just listen to the show and enjoy it and do what you do.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
You can find us on Twitter at BigBoysDon'tPod, on the emails BigBoysDon'tCryPodcast@gmail.com. Get in touch.
Yeah, tell us how far you would go to get back a dodgy email.
Yeah, send us photos of Nicolas Cage looking like Marilyn Manson disguised as Nicolas Cage, please. More of that content.
And why do you think Ed Balls is cheesed off?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Send us photos. All right, and we'll be back next week to talk about Lady and the Tramp.
Alrighty, bye-bye.
All right, bye.